Hello, hello. Hi, how's everyone doing? Let me just turn down. Is that too far? Yeah, I'll turn down the music to there. There we go. Let me know if it sounds good. If anybody's in the chat, that would be great. This is a very interesting stream that I'm doing today. I'm just going to be chatting with a little presentation of sorts to aid me, just some images, some visual aids. We're going to be talking about Star Wars. We're going to be talking about Star Wars, we're going to be talking about Twitter. And don't worry, it's not a bad talking about Twitter. It's just something, it's something fun, something light that's, that I've been doing on Twitter for 3 months now. The title isn't clickbait, I mean, it's kind of clickbait, but it's not inaccurate clickbait. Maybe I should, you know what, I'm going to turn my my voice down just a tiny little bit. That should be better. Okay. Let me just take a look at my stream. Okay. So hello, welcome to stream. Today's stream is about what I've been getting up to on Twitter. But I guess more accurately, it's about a phenomenon in the Star Wars fandom called the Glop Shitter. So, hey, YouTube converts emoticons to emoji so I can send smiley face. So I can't send smiley face like I wanted because it converts to smiley face. Oh. Hey April, how's it going? Please do let me know if the audio all sounds good. I'm assuming it does at the moment. It's a bit loud on my end, like I'm hearing the Sonic Unleashed music kind of loud in my headphones, so maybe I should turn it down for me. I don't know if that will affect what the stream sounds like if I change my computer's audio thing. I'll just leave it the way it is for now, and if I go crazy, you know why. So Glop Shitter is a character, or it's a name for a type of character, I guess. It's a character archetype in Star Wars. So, no, hold on, I had a whole thing ready. Why does it go straight to the Glop Shitters? Hold on, I need to, I hope you'll give me a second while I, sort this out. Let me just, here we go. Now, so that should be coming up, right? On the... Let me just make sure that's showing up on the stream. It is. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Audio's good. I know the exact thing. It's hard to pass sometimes without just listening to the stream audio. Okay, all good. Glop Shitters originate from this Tumblr post. So somebody, presumably outside the Star Wars fandom, made a very clever observation about the Star Wars fandom, which is that, and I quote, "Every time a new Star Wars movie or show is announced, all the fans are like, oh my god, Glop Shitter is back." Glop Shitter can be any obscure character in Star Wars. It can be you know, a random background character. It can be someone whose name just nobody knows. You know, the definition of Glop Shitter is pretty broad, but it is true. Star Wars characters do go crazy over the most random, like, little guy or strange alien that laughs in one shot of one movie, you know? And then, you know, the authors and people who write Star Wars stuff will create entire backstories for that Glop Shitter, and suddenly Glop Shitter is the most interesting and important character in Star Wars, and no one knows it except for Star Wars fans. So anyway, I found a Twitter account that has the Glop Shitter post in their header, and what this account does is they take DM submissions for people's favorite Glop Shitters, and then they post a new one every day, except half the time where they do polls on the previous characters that they've posted, but let's just ignore that for a second. So yeah, every day they post a new Glop Shitter, and I thought, You know what? Maybe. What would happen if because I can think of a lot of glop shitters that I like in Star Wars. So what if I just, like, post a new one every day? What if I send this person a new submission for a glop shitter every single day? And so since August 22nd of this year, up until the end of the year, or until Twitter dies, whichever comes first, because I didn't even consider that that might happen back in August. But yeah, so what I do every day now, this is my daily ritual, is I post a name of a glop shitter, and then I post 4 screenshots of that character. Most of the time I just get these from Google Images, but sometimes I'll go to Disney Plus myself and take my own screenshots. When I take them myself, they're not super high resolution. Oh no, I don't even think it's the resolution. It's just something about, my own screenshots just not being as crisp. I guess just taking direct screenshots from the Disney Plus video player aren't as crisp as actually, as professional, like, I don't know. Just Disney Plus, I guess, just doesn't play at that higher resolution. There's no way to even change the resolution you're watching at as you're watching. So that's annoying, but anyway, the point is, every single day I've been posting a glop shitter. I still haven't done today's because I've been busy today, but yeah, after stream, after stream we'll be posting. Maybe I could post one live on stream. That would be interesting. Anyway, so yeah, I've been doing this every single day since August 22nd. I've posted 94 glop shitters to date, and I'm going to use this stream to explain, to sort of just talk about all these obscure Star Wars characters I've posted, because I've gone to all this random ass effort. I've randomly gone to all this effort to post a new obscure Star Wars character to this account every day. And by the way, these aren't just obscure Star Wars characters that exist, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really like this character, but I'll post him. Every single character that I've posted, I like to some degree. I've specifically picked characters that stand out to me, characters that I really like, and I've managed to come up with 94 of them thus far. And actually, I've got a list of, like, glop shitters I intend to post, and I've nearly got enough to round out the year. I just need to submit some more. I was actually thinking last night as I was going to sleep, actually, I should probably add this person and this person to the list, and this person. So I think I have 5 to go till the end of the year, assuming that none of my future glop shitters get posted by the account before I can DM them. So I'll need a couple of backups just to keep myself in the clear, but yeah, I want to briefly talk about each glop shitter because there are 94 of them. I am not going to be able to go super in-depth about the backstory of each of the 94, but hopefully I can give you a quick overview as to why these characters are cool. Okay, so we're going to start with Numa, N-U-M-A. This is a little Twi'lek girl who we meet in one episode of the Clone Wars. There is a war happening on Ryloth between the Republic and the Separatists. The Separatists are trying to enslave the Twi'leks, and the Republic is trying to free them. And these two clones beat this little Twi'lek girl and become almost like, parental figures to her, sort of, for the course of the episode. She speaks to them in like her in like the Twi'lek language, which the clones don't understand. They're like, "What are you calling us?" And then at the end of the episode, Obi-Wan, who apparently speaks the language, tells the clones that, by the way, that thing that she keeps calling you, it means brother. And it's a really sweet moment. And then this character actually reappears in Star Wars Rebels, alongside Cham Syndulla, who we also see in the same arc in the Clone Wars. Yeah, so she becomes like a freedom fighter for Ryloth. So we see her as an adult, and I just think that's pretty cool. When I first recognized her, I was like, holy shit, that's the little girl from Ryloth. And it's just one of those things that makes you go, oh, I recognize that person, that's cool. She has like 1 or 2 lines in the episode that she first appears, and maybe 1 or 2 lines in like the second episode she's in Rebels. She's only in 2 episodes of Rebels, and 1 episode of Clone Wars, so certified glop shitter. Next up we have this guy. This guy's name is Captain Typho, or Gregor Typho is his first name. No, Gregor, I think. So Gregar, Typho. Typho. And he's got an eye patch. That's about, no. So he is Padme's head of security, and he obviously doesn't do a great job. I mean, he does save her from, like... He actually does do a good job, it's just that, you know, Padme... you know, there are so many assassination attempts and hit jobs on Padme, it's ridiculous. So this guy has a very important job of keeping a Star Wars main character alive. And he's played by Jay from Play School. The actor who plays this guy was on Play School, you know, when I watched it as a kid. Play School is a British show which also has like an Australian adaptation, I guess. But yeah, it's a children's program. It goes for like half an hour where the hosts do like arts and crafts and sing songs and stuff like that. So yeah, so this actor who was there from when I was a kid, I remember our parents were like, you know that guy's in Star Wars, right? And showed us like a clip from Attack of the Clones, so that was pretty cool. Definitely a glop shitter. This is Lobot. Lobot appears in the background of The Empire Strikes Back. He is Lando Calrissian's right-hand man, and he can be seen around Cloud City when our heroes go to Bespin. He's just hanging around. He's in the background. He doesn't speak, at least not in the movie. And the idea behind him, at least in the movie, was that like his name is Lobot, and which is short for like lobotomy, but also robot. It also kind of sounds like robot. But the idea is that, you know, he's incapable of speech. He's just got this like computer attachment to him. I don't know, but his like computer attachment, we explore more of, you know, in the new Star Wars canon that sort of has an actual explanation as for what that is. But he's just the cool guy in the background. Certified glop shitter. This is another background character from the Clone Wars. Her name is Rook Cast, and she has colourful hair. She's just a goth girl, and she's kind of cute, not gonna lie. That's about the only reason she's on this list. She's one of 2 notable Mandalorians who are on Maul's side during the Siege of Mandalore. The other one is Gar Saxon, who originates from Star Wars Rebels. And then there's just this lady, who doesn't really do much. She just hangs around and looks cool. Certified glop shitter. This is Dr. Mandible. He is from The Mandalorian, the TV show. Or the Disney Plus show, rather. So The Mandalorian meets this guy. He's in the Mos Eisley Cantina, right? Yeah. He's shown playing cards with another, with a side character, Pelimoto, who we might see a little bit later. But he's just an ant. He's just a giant ant in Star Wars, and he's cool. Certified glop shitter. We'll get to Wat Tambor in a second. Let me just turn down the music on my end and hope it doesn't affect. Let me know if the stream volume just got quiet. I hope it didn't. Wait, I can check this actually. Yeah, I think everything got quiet. No, never mind. No, my mic still looks like it's at the same volume. Okay, so it's all good. Now where was I? Wat Tambor. He appears in Attack of the Clones. He's one of the leaders of the Separatist Alliance, which is like the bad guys. He's just a political leader, really. But he has these funny like knobs on his thing, on his suit, his like chassis. That whole like cyborg suit sort of thing that he wears, the like metallic suit, is supposed to like protect him from the atmospheric pressures of most planets, because his home planet, I think, has like, I don't remember if it's like really low pressures or high pressures or something, but you know, he needs to wear that protective suit to survive in other atmospheres. So he's pretty cool. He has little knobs that he can fiddle around with on his body that adjust how he sounds. It's like me fiddling with my audio settings in OBS. He just fiddles with the knobs. There's one part where he's talking. He's like, the Techno Union Army, and then starts going like you know, a TV antenna is messed up or something, and he's trying to get his audio back to normal. Certified Glop Shitter. Cool guy. He actually comes up in some of the comics. He's in the Clone Wars. He's actually featured a little prominently-ish outside of just the movies, but yeah, Glop Shitter. This is AZ... What's his full name? I don't know, but it's like AZI and then like a bunch of numbers. But he's just called AZ for short. This little helpful guy helps the Clone Trooper Fibes in Season 6 of the Clone Wars, when Fibes just needs someone to talk to about this grand conspiracy he's unraveling. He's just a helpful little guy. He doesn't know... he doesn't know anything about the big conspiracy on Kamino. He's just, there to hang out and be a fun little comic relief character. Not that he, like, quips and makes jokes. He is, most of the joke is just him being the straight man and just having no idea what's going on. And then he reappears later, I think after a memory wipe, in the Bad Batch, but I didn't have an image of that, I guess. My bad. I thought I did. But important thing, Fives the Clone Trooper rides him like a jet ski in one scene. They scale him up too. He's not usually that big. They had to make him bigger so that, a Clone Trooper could, like, a full-grown adult could, like, fit on his back. It makes no sense, but it's very fun and very cool. So, yeah. AZ3... maybe a tad too prominent to be a Glop Shitter. No, whatever. He appears in like a couple episodes of the Clone Wars, a couple episodes of the Bad Batch. Certified Glop Shitter. This is Haja Estri. He appears in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Obi-Wan is on this planet looking for answers, and he finds this. And he hears rumors of this Jedi who operates in the darkness and the shadows, because the Jedi are being hunted at this point in time, in the timeline of the galaxy. Jedi are being hunted by the Empire and by the Inquisitors, and by Darth Vader. So he hears rumors of this Jedi and goes to see what he can find, and he finds Haja Estri, this guy right here, who, appears to be a very mysterious, cool Jedi at first glance. He does take tips from the people whom he helps. He helps people sort of get past the Empire using, like, Imperial security codes and stuff. Supposedly using, like, mind tricks on like, Imperial officers to get those codes. But Obi-Wan just sort of shows up and reveals pretty quickly that he knows it's a grift. He has like magnets on his hands to pull things into his hands to make it seem like he's using the Force. The Jedi mind trick stuff is just like, someone he has on a comlink line who's in on the grift. It's just all, he's a fake. He's a con man, basically. And he's like, well, I help people for a small fee, but there's a good line where he offers his services to Obi-Wan before Obi-Wan reveals that he knows exactly what he's doing. Where he's like, all I ask in return is just a small fee, is a small fee, and Obi-Wan's like, how much? And he's like, 2,000 or something. I don't know how much credits are, like 20,000 or something. And Obi-Wan's like, my goodness, that darkness is unforgiving. Because he said something about like, I'm being pursued by forces of darkness or something, or I hide in the darkness. I don't know. It's funnier when you watch the show than when you just listen to me explain it. But eventually Haja actually ends up being like a good guy, and he's like kind of enamored by Obi-Wan, finally meeting a real Jedi, and sort of like stands up for him against an Inquisitor. He pretends to be a Jedi to throw this Inquisitor off the trail of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you can kind of clearly see in this shot that he's just wearing a bathrobe. And I love that. Tries to look like a Jedi just by wearing a bathrobe and putting like a sash around it. It's great. It's great. I love Haja Estri. Certified, Glupshitter, and great character. This is Helsing. No, not Helsing. What's his name? Is that his name? Hold on, I'm questioning myself now. Star Wars Helsing. No, what's his name? Highsinger. That's his name. Sorry. Forgot for a second what his name was. So this is Highsinger. He's a cool droid bounty hunter. You don't get a lot of droids that are bounty hunters, but this guy's really cool. He's really mobile, unlike some other droid bounty hunters we see. In fact, he has this really cool move where... Hold on, let me just fit this to the screen real quick. How do I do that again? Hold on, I've got to go into the settings to do this. I thought I already... went into the... Yeah, I did. Didn't I? Auto fit all? Yeah, whatever. I guess I'll just have to zoom in on this particular one. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, he just, like, spins his torso around and shoots people in, like, with, like, a volley of blaster shots. He's awesome. He's awesome. He's in one episode of The Clone Wars, and that is it. He is mentioned in Dark Disciple, the Clone Wars novel, because he was supposed to appear in other episodes. Well, he technically does appear in other episodes, but not prominently. Whereas in this episode, he gets to be awesome. Really cool Glupshitter. Next, we have Dexter Jettster. I really should have got a higher quality image for this guy. So he is the owner of a diner and also an old friend of Obi-Wan's. Obi-Wan goes to him having hit a dead end trying to solve a mystery. And this guy helps notice something about this, what is it, like a poison dart that he's trying to identify. This guy's like, oh yeah, I've seen that. Because he's done prospecting on Sub Garel. I don't know. This is just Obi-Wan's old friend, this cheery diner owner. He appears in one scene in one movie. Certified Glupshitter. This guy's cool. This guy's name is Prof? It's Prauf. Prof? I guess it's Prof. This guy's cool. This guy's from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is a video game for like PS4, Xbox One, It's a game that came out in 2019. Well, it was originally exclusive for PS4. Anyway, but this guy is cool. He is friends with the main character, Cal Kestis, at the start of the game when the two are just scrappers. Cal accidentally reveals that he's a Jedi, and Prof is just such a bro about it. You know, he doesn't tell no one. He's like, mate, I'll keep your secret. We got to get out of here. We got to get you off world, you know? You have your whole life ahead of you, Cal. You're young, unlike me. And it's just like, Prof is a certified glupshitter and a certified best bro. Amazing dude. This guy, his name is... God, what's his name again? It's... Rick Ollie is his name. He is from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And he is just there to state the obvious, basically. The fans have sort of nicknamed this guy. They have dubbed him Captain Obvious. Because he's sort of the captain of the ship. He pilots the Naboo spacecraft that all the heroes are traveling in. And he... his lines consist of things like, This is Coruscant. The whole planet is one big city. And, like, the shields are up. And, like, we'll never get through their shields. We'll never get through this blockade. We've lost a droid, or something like that. Like, things that we clearly see on screen. We then suddenly get a reaction shot from this guy being like, the thing just happened, you know? And bless him for giving a running commentary of everything going on. He's keeping the heroes informed, you know? We see exactly what's happening, but maybe the heroes don't know that, you know, they've lost an R2 unit. Maybe they need this guy to tell them. So, keeping the crew informed, communication is very important on a spaceship, I imagine. So, certified glupshitter and a good communicator. This funky little guy is in the his name is Lulio Primoc is his name. He is in the he is from Solo, a Star Wars story. He appears in the pleasure craft of what's his name, Dryden Voss, a Crimson Dawn meeting place. He's a musician. Not a musician, actually. He's a vocalist, which I guess is a type of musician. He can hit really bassy tones. He's a whatever the lowest vocal range is, he hits that. What is it, like a soprano or I don't know, something like that. He can hit those really low notes, like it's nobody's business. I think the music stopped. Let me just... I forgot to loop it, apparently. Okay, there we go. Yeah, he's a cool, weird little alien, certified glupshitter. This is 264. This is an Imperial courier droid, who appears in Star Wars Rebels. The protagonists, the rebels, end up kidnapping this droid in order to get some information out of him about where a prisoner's being held. This guy actually ends up, this little droid, I think they reprogram him a little bit, maybe? I don't remember if they do. Maybe they don't. But he ends up being really helpful. He's like, well, I've been kidnapped, but, you know, I'll do whatever I can for these rebels. And he's helpful in ways that the rebels' resident droid, who is nicknamed Chopper, just isn't. And so the rebels are like, hey Chopper, maybe this guy could replace you, huh? You know? Just sort of joking, but they do genuinely want to keep him around because he's such a nice droid. And then Chopper, being just a just being a hateful, jealous being, knocks 264 off the ship while it's moving as the doors are closing. 264 is alright, by the way. He ends up landing harmlessly on the planet's surface. But, man, I love this screenshot, by the way. This is my favorite screenshot I think I've taken to showcase the Glopshitter and the entire thing. It's just a great action shot. It's so funny. Yeah, but we love 264. He's great. Certified Glopshitter. This is Rabonio. He's a bounty hunter, fish man, duck looking thing, who actually sounds exactly like Donald Duck. I don't know why, just the voice actor decided, okay, this thing sounds like Donald Duck now. He's just a little gremlin, you know? He's got like the scary duck teeth that actual ducks have. He's great. Certified Glopshitter. This is IG 90? Yes, IG 90. So he's an IG series droid, the most famous one in Star Wars being IG 88 from The Empire Strikes Back, just a background bounty hunter. But this guy's red, and he proceeds, and every statement he makes is preceded by statement or query or like exclamation, you know? Everything I can imagine is delivered very dryly. He's just in the comics. He's in a couple of the Star Wars comics, which I started reading because I was sending Glopshittos every day, and I was like, I'm not going to have enough Glopshittos to send this person. Till the end of the year, I didn't realize how many Glopshittos that was, but it turns out it was like 130 something. You know, like 132 or 3, I think. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to start reading the comics. And I have read every Star Wars comic that takes place, or at least the like main series that take place between episode 4 and 5. So A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. Between the first 2 original Star Wars movies, they have a whole comic series of stuff that happens. And I've read that entire series now because of this project that I started with a single DM, just being like, hey, I'm going to start sending you Glopshittos from now until the end of time, or the end of the year, you know. I mean, what's the difference at this point? But yeah, I didn't quite comprehend just how many Glopshittos I was supposed to have. Like, you know, I sat down and came up with a couple, and came up with about, you know, maybe as many as we've maybe as many as we've, you know, I came up with like a decent amount. I came up with like 50 or something, and I was like, that's a lot. And then I realized I needed like 130. But, you know, I had plenty of time to come up with the rest. So this was one I added after I started reading the comics. Just because he's red and he has a quirky way of speaking. He's fun. Certified Glopshitter. This is Jocasta Nu. She is a librarian for the Jedi Order. And that's about it. She shows up in Star Wars Episode 2. She shows up in a couple episodes of the Clone Wars. She's just a cool librarian Jedi. And yes, she is a Jedi. I believe she used to be on the Jedi Council as well. I could be wrong about that. But she also, fun fact, survives Order 66. Because of course everyone survives Order 66 apparently. And she appears in the comics, in the Darth Vader comics, specifically the 2017 run, where she is seen with a lightsaber-powered sniper rifle. See that little thing in the top there? Of the sniper rifle? That's a lightsaber. So you load your lightsaber in, and then the Kyber crystal powers the sniper rifle with like a solid beam of like laser. It's a laser rifle. It's cool as hell. So for some reason they made her an absolute badass in the comics, and I'll never understand why, but she's cool. Certified Glopshitter. Hold on a second, I need to drink some water. It's Too many Glop Shadows, too little time. This stream is going to take me forever. This is Niku Vozo. This is a main character from Star Wars Resistance, a show that nobody has seen except me. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you know, it's hyperbole. But I don't know anyone else who has watched this show, aside from maybe the very owners of the Glop Shadow account that I'm tweeting all these Glop Shadows at. So I think like one or both of them may have seen Star Wars Resistance, because they sometimes post Glop Shadows that are from Star Wars Resistance, but those could just be because they're submitted by other people. I don't know, but given that the people who own that account are very into the comics and were very excited to hear that I started reading the comics, then I wouldn't be surprised if they had also seen this other obscure piece of Star Wars media, this children's show that nobody really bothered watching. I mean, it doesn't have any connections to, like, I mean, Star Wars Rebels was also a kids show, but I mean, it connected to Clone Wars in a lot of ways. They brought a lot of Clone Wars characters into Rebels, whereas this one attempted no such thing. I mean, it does tie into the sequel trilogy, technically, and, you know, sometimes there's characters like Captain Phasma and, you know, General Hux come on board. Poe Dameron is in a couple of episodes. Anyway, I'm getting way off track. The point is that Niku Vozo is one of the main characters of this show, and he is, I believe, supposed to be neurodivergent, or is supposed to be, like, I don't, you know, it's never specifically confirmed within the show, but that definitely seems to be the role that he fills. And I think that's great, because, you know, if ever we need, like, neurodivergent representation in Star Wars, I think having it in children's media is a great idea, so that kids can see this guy and be like, hang on a second, he acts like me, I'm not strange, I'm just, you know, they can be represented through this, and I think that it's very extremely valuable for kids to have that representation at such an early age, to realize that, you know, they're not the only, you know, they're not like the one strange person whose brain works differently, you know? There are other people like that out there who think similarly to them. Yeah, Niku's also just, like, fun. He's just a fun character to have. He takes things very literally. He is just constantly, like, excited by new things. He's very curious. He's just a fun presence, a fun character to have around. You know, you gotta love Niku. Certified Glop Shadow. And there he is with the rest of the main cast, by the way. Yeah. This is Ryo Chuchi. We saw her in one of the screenshots I posted earlier of just me submitting a Glop Shadow. I used her as the example. She is a senator who needs to stand up to her superior, the chairman of Plutonia. She is the senator of Plutonia. She needs to stand up to her superior, because her superior wants to do imperialism and wants to, you know, go to war with a bunch of natives over the the ownership of their planet. You know, he wants to basically massacre these people. But I mean, it turns out, you know, it's not going to come without heavy casualties, because these people are heavily armed, if not with laser weapons, then with, you know, spears and other, like, quote-unquote primitive technology, but they're very, they're still very formidable opponents. Anyway, she broke his peace between them, and that's very cool. And then she becomes, like, I think she's a representative at the start, actually, isn't she? Or is she the senator? No, she is the senator. But then I think she becomes the chairman. No, she doesn't become the chairman. What am I talking about? She's still the senator. She just gets a fancy office, and you know, her actions on Auto Plutonia, that ice planet where the native Tals live, were very cool, and she's very cool. Certified Glupshitter. She's only in the Clone Wars, and she appears in like 2 episodes prominently, and then in the background of a couple more. This is what's his name? Estala Maru, I think his name is. Yes, and he is an archivist, I believe, of the High Republic. So the High Republic is a media initiative that Star Wars does, that the first phase of it takes place 200 years before the first Star Wars movie. As in the first Star Wars movie canonically, chronologically, the Phantom Menace. It takes place 200 years before Star Wars Episode 1. Yeah, this guy's just like a cool-ass, like, librarian guy. He's kind of grouchy. He drinks a lot of, like, space coffee. He's very cool. I like him. Certified Glupshitter. This is a droid. What's its name again? I think it's like MA15, something like that. No, MA13. I'm thinking of the rating here in you know, like the content rating, like how you have like G, PG, M. We have one in Australia that's MA13, I think is the official name for it. Also just known as, you know, MA. No, sorry, MA15 is what it is here. This droid's name is MA13. You can see why I get them confused. Anyway, this is an astromech droid with legs, and it rules. It's a what do you call those people who, like? It's a gondolier. This droid is a gondolier droid that has not been operating for years and years. But our heroes in The Mandalorian boot him up and start. And you know, he starts pedaling his way down the lava stream. You can sort of see in the background little traces of like lava. Very cool droid, certified Glupshitter. This is one of the major villains from Star Wars Rebels. When I say it that way, maybe she's not a Glupshitter, but I'm starting to stretch the definition a bit just to get characters out of the way. But still, even if you've watched the show, do you remember her name? Her name is Arinda Price, also known as Governor Price. That's her official title. She is the governor of Lothal, and she sucks. Yeah, I mean, she's kind of a sadist, we find out later. There's a scene where she is torturing one of the main characters, and one of the stormtroopers is like, "What have you learned?" And she's like, "Oh, I haven't started asking questions yet." There's like, in the first Thrawn novel about Grand Admiral Thrawn, who isn't really a Glupshitter. He's prominent enough and famous enough that, and enough people's favorite character, that I don't think he really counts as a Glupshitter. But in that book, she actually has like a subplot where we learn how she became the governor of Lothal. And she's just a bitch through and through. But she's loyal to the Empire to the end. And I guess that's Admiral to some degree. She's just a villain that you love to hate. Certified Glupshitter. Next we have Huyang, who is I guess a lightsaber smith of sorts. He is a droid that helps teach Jedi younglings how to put their lightsabers together, which is a very cool concept. He's got like arms on the back, on like his back, that he can use to open other drawers and do other things. He's got all these moving parts. He's got like this little magnifying glass above his eye that can, like, you know, swivel down, and so he can look closer at things. He's very, very cool. And he's voiced by David Tennant. He's a very whimsical and old droid. Very, very fun character. Certified Glove Shitter. He's in one episode. No, he's in one arc of the Clone Wars. So 4 consecutive episodes. This is Cerepas. This is a bounty hunter, a very intimidating looking bounty hunter in this big hulking suit of armor. He has a freaking buzzsaw on his arm. But it turns out that inside the suit of armor is just this little guy. Just this little friend who tries to like compensate for his small stature by creating this big intimidating hulking thing. He shows up in like one episode of the Clone Wars kind of prominently, and then in the background of like maybe 2 other episodes. Only shows up in the Clone Wars, but very fun character. Certified Glove Shitter. This is... God, what is her name? Eldracatus, I think it is. She's a comic character. She's from a comic run just simply titled Darth Maul, that takes place before Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This is when Darth Maul is learning to hunt Jedi, basically. Darth Sidious has been teaching him how to hunt Jedi, and Darth Maul decides he wants to put that training to use by finding a Jedi and killing her. Hunting her and killing her. Or, you know, at least he attempts to. But the Jedi in question, she's a female Twi'lek, and she's really sassy and has a really fun personality. A little dark-sidey, not gonna lie. I think she's either a Padawan or a Jedi Knight. I think she's a Padawan. Or maybe a Jedi Knight, I really don't remember. I don't know. But she's a really fun character. She's also a little like... You know, it's like perhaps Maul could sway her to the dark side if he you know, if he really wanted to. But he wants... But, you know, at this point, nobody knows that there's a Sith running around. There's a Jedi hunter killing Jedi, and so he wants to keep his presence a secret, and so we can't keep her alive. And I really recommend that comic run, by the way. It's a really good run of comics. That's Darth Maul 2016. It's 6 issues, and that's it. It's a mini-series, and it's really good, and Eldracatus is a really fun Jedi. Certified Glove Shitter. This is Pelimoto, a minor character from The Mandalorian. Maybe I'm pushing it a bit by calling her a Glove Shitter, since she has appeared in, I think, both seasons of The Mandalorian, and also in the Book of Boba Fett. But she's such like a... You know, she's not an action hero. She's not a big, like, you know, Star Wars character in like, all caps. She's just... She's a, what is it? She does repairs on ships. She's a mechanic. And she learns the Din Djarin, the Mandalorian's great secret, that he has a little alien baby that he's taking care of. And she takes an immediate liking to him, to the baby, and you know, she sort of bonds with Mando over that, and you know, just immediately has this like motherly instinct over the child, and you know, but usually just as a mechanic, though, she sort of puts up a facade to others where she like pretends to be more competent than she actually is. You know, she's running a bit of a racket. She's just a really fun character. Certified Glove Shitter. This is Porkins. Yes, his name is Porkins. This is one of the X-Wing pilots who helped to take down the Death Star, or at least one of the pilots on that mission. He unfortunately does not survive the mission, and so he appears in the very first Star Wars movie that was made, and dies in it instantaneously. But the really fucked up part about Porkins is the fact that he is referred to exclusively as Porkins by his crew. He has a first name, by the way. I'm struggling to remember what it is off the top of my head. It's like, what is Porkins' first name? Hold on. So I have to look this up. I think it's Jeb? Or Jev? I think it's Jeb. I think it's Jeb Porkins. But nobody calls him Jeb, you know? When Luke Skywalker's in his X-Wing, everyone calls him Luke. But nobody calls this guy Jeb. They just call him Porkins because he's fat. But his legal last name, apparently, is Porkins. So George Lucas is a bastard for that one. For giving the only overweight TIE pilot the name Porkins. A tradition that I think sadly happens again in the sequel trilogy. I think there's one overweight pilot who gets called like Softy or something. I don't remember what he gets called, but you know, aside from him being done dirty, apparently he was also, I read this on Wikipedia, he was given the nickname Piggy by his fellow X-Wing pilots, and I'm like, that's not an endearing nickname. That's just bullying. They're bullying this poor guy. But also, Porkins, you know, vital member of the team. F's in the chat for Porkins. Certified glupshitter, but also a hero. This is Quarry. He is a Mon Calamari. Which is a funny little squid person, fish person. He is a starship mechanic? No, he like creates starships. What would you call him? Like a star pilot, a starship maker, builder, you know? He's gone a little bit kooky, being stranded on this one planet with like terrible weather conditions, which he describes as the perfect place to test starships, because if they can fly here, they can fly anywhere. He's just a fun little guy who appears in one episode of Star Wars Rebels. Just a kooky little squid guy. Good glupshitter. And there he is, given the good old finger guns. Next up, we have Flix and Orca. Specifically, the glupshitter I submitted on this occasion was Flix, the bird with the really tall legs. I exclusively used this screenshot just to show you how like ridiculously tall Flix is. Like, Flix stands like eye to eye with other human characters, but it's only because of his giant spindly legs. It's such a fun design. I love it. And also, he and Orca are officially a couple, according to you know, the show's creators. These two are from Star Wars Resistance, by the way. Again, the children's show. They are never explicitly stated in the show that, like, they're dating or they're married or anything like that. But it is, it's implied. I mean, they have a very, like, old married couple bickering kind of relationship. And they do, at one point, I think, another character says to Flix or something like, yeah, he's quite the catch, referring to Orca. So this is like the first, maybe not the first, but it's one of the few gay couples in Star Wars at the moment. I mean, in the books and in the comics and stuff, they, you know, authors feel more free to sort of get loose with that sort of stuff and you know, putting gay characters left, right, and center, and everywhere they can. Queer characters, you know, as much as they want, because they have less restrictions when they're writing something that, you know, a majority of the fan base probably isn't gonna read. It's not like, you know, a Hollywood movie where they're like, but we have to show it in China. We need to, you know, we can't just put gay people in our movies. We can't do that. Because Disney, despite being outwardly LGBTQ friendly, they're cowards when it comes to actually doing representation in their movies. But hey, at least their publishing partners seem to care about this sort of representation, and as do the creators of Star Wars Resistance, maybe. Because again, they're not explicitly stated, but I mean, come on, they're basically married. You know, at one point they leave the refueling station in which they own an inventory store, something like that. They own a store where they like sell like spare parts and stuff. And at one point they leave for a brief hiatus vacation. ? It's not really a vacation because they are visiting Flix's in-laws. Or no, they're visiting his mother, I think. I don't remember, but you know, meeting the family. It's like, well, maybe there's something more going on here. And according to the show's creators, there are, but it's we're not going to get another season of Star Wars Resistance to officially confirm it on screen. But hey, by the word of God, it's official. So, anyway. Flix is cool. It's very neurotic, uptight, fun character to have. Certified globshitter. This is Mina Bonteri. She is a separatist senator, a member of the Separatist Senate, and a friend of Padme Amidala, an old friend from before the Separatists split from the Republic. So they were good friends, and then once the split happened, then they still kept in touch, but behind closed doors, because it really wasn't, you know, it wasn't a good look to have the two opposing sides talking to each other, but they would secretly, like, advocate for peace behind the scenes and catch up with each other, because they were old friends after all. That's Mina Bonteri in the Separatist Senate. By the way, she looks amazing. Like, it's a great villain design in general, but even a greater, like, hero who's on the wrong side sort of design. And she's got this, like, very, you know, this very, like, villainous sounding, like, British accent, this very posh and proper British accent about her as well, which is really fun. She's also a big fan of Count Dooku. That is where she and Padme differ in their political beliefs, is that Padme says at one point, like, oh, I almost forgot, you actually admire the man. You know? Count Dooku being the leader of the Separatist army and a secret Sith Lord. So, like, Padme's not wrong to dislike him. So that's Mina's greatest, perhaps only flaw, is where she chooses to invest her political leanings. But she is an advocate for peace between the Republic and the Separatists, just as Padme is. So you know, she's a good woman. She's a good senator and a certified globshitter because she appears in one episode. This is a funky little monkey, a space monkey, a cyborg space monkey who welds Kylo Ren's helmet back together in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. And I don't know, I just thought it was funny that, you know, we see the alien that's welding together Kylo Ren's helmet and it's just straight up a chimp. It's just straight up an ape, a primate, you know? I mean, he's got, like, Yoda ears, kind of. He's got, like, funny alien ears, but, I mean, it's just a monkey. You know? Certified globshitter. This is a character from Star Wars Visions, which is a project in which a bunch of anime studios took on some Star Wars projects. So Lucasfilm would be like, hey, just write a story and come up with a bunch of character designs and stuff to fit into the Star Wars universe. And canonicity doesn't really matter. Just like create some wild stories in your own studio's signature style, which is awesome, by the way. I would never imagine that like a big company like Disney would put aside like profit motives to you know, create what is really like you know, it's a project celebrating Japanese art, you know, celebrating like Japanese animation, and it's a really like art-focused project, which I think is super cool. Anyway, this is a quirky little dude. This is him without the helmet and also with a sniper rifle. So he's a quirky little guy who's like exploring the landscape that he's on. That's why he's got that little satellite-looking thingy that he's holding, like a metal detector maybe. But he's also a badass behind the scenes, and I highly recommend watching the Star Wars Visions episode, The Village Bride, to see what this guy's all about, because there's a lot more to him than just that. But I don't want to like spoil what the episode's about, because, you know, it's just a one-off episode, and it's only like, you know, 15 minutes. So if you want to see more of this guy, then I recommend you watch that episode. But either way, certified glub shitter. This is Tera Sinube. He is an ancient Jedi. He's like, you know, really old by the time of the Clone Wars TV show, in which he is prominently featured in exactly one episode, where he acts as a mentor to Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's apprentice, who is extremely brash and like impatient, and Sinube here tries to teach her a lesson in patience and taking things slowly. He is a slow old man after all, and he shows that sometimes slowing down and thinking about your actions can, you know, be a good thing. So he also has a white lightsaber. The first white lightsaber we ever see in Star Wars, and he's just really cool. He's a cool old guy who tells Ahsoka to slow the fuck down. But yeah, I want to see this guy in more stuff. Certified glub shitter. This is just one of the pod racer pilots that I thought looked cool. He's like a moose. He's got like antlers and a bunch of medals, and he looks all like stuck up and everything. I think in like the expanded universe he's like a journalist or something. I don't know, but this guy's cool. This is like the only shot of him in all of Star Wars, aside from like a deleted scene, and also the Star Wars Kinect video game, in which there are cutscenes of him talking, and they gave him a southern accent, and I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, certified glub shitter. This guy, this Ugnaught, is his name is Melch, and he is a good friend of Hondo Ohnaka. He is a business partner of Hondo Ohnaka. For some reason, Hondo in Star Wars Rebels, Hondo was another... Does he count as a glub shitter? Maybe I should count him as a glub shitter and put him in the lineup, but I haven't got him in there yet. Hondo Ohnaka is a very popular character from Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and also appears in costume at Disney's theme parks. But yeah, so, you know, so this little guy, Melch, is like the sidekick. Is like Hondo Ohnaka's sidekick. And Hondo's like a pirate, you know? And so This is like his first mate of sorts. I just think his friendship with Hondo is really wholesome and funny. And he's just a silly little guy, a silly little Ugnaught, who doesn't take any shit from Hondo. And yeah, their relationship is just really wholesome. It's really fun. Certified Glupshitter. This is Lutz Razi. She is a cool bounty hunter in the Clone Wars era. She's purple as heck. She's very like mysterious and smug. And then you see her in action, and she's got these like metal, like vine-like things that she uses to like attack people and tie people up and stuff. She's Poison Ivy, basically. She's Star Wars Poison Ivy, and she's very cool. Certified Glupshitter. This guy, he might look a lot like another character you might recognize. Admiral Ackbar is an admiral in the Star Wars original trilogy who got famous for saying this one line, this one very mundane line that for some reason became like an internet meme. This is another admiral who is also a Mon Calamari squid person, just like Admiral Ackbar. He appears in Rogue One, and he is instrumental to the rebellion's victory at the end of that movie. He's like, we should go all in and strike while we can. Strike the Empire, deal a blow to the Empire while we can, and like the higher-ups in the rebellion are like, it's a big risk though, I don't think we should. And then as soon as Admiral Raddus learns that a group of rebels have gone rogue and decided to carry out the mission alone, then he's like, what are we waiting for? Provide backup for them immediately. And he arrives personally to direct the fleet, to command the fleet. And yeah, he's a badass, weird squid guy, and I love him. Certified Glupshitter. There's him sort of surveying the battle. This is Inspector Thanoth, which kind of sounds like you're pronouncing Thanos from Marvel, from the Marvel comics, with a lisp. Here comes Thanoth. But yeah, this is Inspector Thanoth, and he is assigned to Darth Vader after the destruction of the Death Star because the Emperor doesn't really trust him anymore. I guess he feels like Darth Vader now needs supervision because he screwed up. And so he is assigned to Inspector Thanoth, and Vader's like, you know what, I'm just gonna like contrive a situation in which I can like get this guy killed. But it turns out Thanoth is like really smart. And also Vader is doing a bunch of shit that is, behind the Emperor's back, trying, sowing seeds and coming up with plans to overthrow him. And he's in real danger of Thanoth, just figuring that all out. He's assigned to supervising 24/7. And so this inspector is a real threat for Darth Vader. It's like, how do you... If you're writing a comic about Darth Vader that focuses on Darth Vader, how do you write a villain for that series, Well, it's easy. You just give him a... you give him, like, a babysitter who's keeping his watchful eye on him and can sniff out a traitor like nobody else in the Empire. And then, have Darth Vader genuinely panic because he's done a bunch of stuff behind the Emperor's back. That might be seen as traitorous to the Empire. Yeah, there's a lot of tension in those in the comics in which Thanos is sort of sussing Vader out, and you're like, does he know? Is he gonna find out? It's very cool and very tense, and the most enjoyable parts of those comics, in my opinion. Inspector Thanos is awesome and a certified glove shitter. Hydration. This is Babu Frick, who has sort of become famous after the release of Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. He's just a silly little guy, and a... what is he, like an electrician, I guess? He's a droid smith, I think is what they call him. So, yeah, he's got a funny little voice. He's just a funky little dude. And he's going to show up in The Mandalorian Season 3, apparently. Which, you know, the Tumblr post about, like, all the Star Wars characters are like, oh my god, Glove Shitter is back, is once again a prophecy. Because everyone was excited to see Babu Frick back. Certified Glove Shitter. This is Captain Hauser from Star Wars The Bad Batch. He is the commander of, he is the clone captain, sorry, who serves under Cham Syndulla. And as the Empire begins to tighten its hold on Ryloth, then Hauser sort of sides with the Empire, but feels like really bad about it. And starts questioning whether they're going too far, etc. Until eventually he rebels against the Empire alongside Cham Syndulla, and it's a really cool redemption story. But yeah, this guy's awesome. The moral conflict is fun to watch. Certified Glove Shitter. We're talking about the figure on the left here, because the figure on the right has already been featured as a Glove Shitter in the stream. This is... what's her name? Nina Fasaka Nalor is her full name. Nina Fasaka being her first name and Nalor being her last name. But she's just called Nina for short. She is brought aboard the refueling station that Star Wars Resistance takes place on, called the Colossus. She's actually brought on... Spoiler alert for Season 1 of Star Wars Resistance, but it turns out the Colossus is also just a spaceship, and not just a refueling station. And the spaceship starts, like, breaking down and malfunctioning, and Niku, the resident engineer... Oh yeah, he's like, the main engineer aboard the Colossus as well. I really should have mentioned that. But he's struggling to keep up with everything, and so when one day a ship... when suddenly the Colossus gets a distress call from a ship whose engines have died, and it turns out to be this engineer named Nina. It's like a stroke of luck. They ask her, hey, would you be willing to fix some stuff around the ship? And she's like, you guys rescued me, of course. But then she turns out to be a traitor. Towards the end, but not without some, like, juicy conflict. What am I... What's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's not... It's internal conflict within Nina, because she actually grows quite fond of Niku, right? They develop quite a rapport while fixing the whole ship together, and then it turns out she wasn't fixing the ship, she was breaking it. Well, you know, she was she made it look as if, from all the ship scanners and stuff, that it was fixed, but really she just broke the ship further. And then she sort of left him for dead once the Empire showed up, because it turns out that this was all a ruse that she was in on. She deliberately set up a trap where she disabled the Colossus's engines so that not the Empire, the First Order, as they're known at that point in the timeline, the First Order can just like tear the ship apart while it can't even move, you know, it can't jump at light speed or anything. But she genuinely, you know, started to care about Niku and started to like Niku, and so she feels really bad for what she did. And given that she was unsuccessful and just kind of ran away, she ends up on the Empire's wanted list as well. Or she ends up on the Empire's wanted, the First Order's wanted list. So she's in trouble. But we'll never know what happened to her beyond that, because that's the only episode she ever appeared in Season 2 of Star Wars Resistance. Why doesn't that show have a third season? I feel like there's so many more stories to tell. I feel like you could wrap it all up nicely. And I want to know what happens to Nina. So, it's never going to happen though, because again, nobody watched that show, not even like kids were tuning into it, and they put it on Disney XD where cartoons go to die. So, you know, I don't think we're ever going to get another season, so maybe I need to rewatch the first 2 seasons and write my own season 3, you know? Write some fan fictions. Maybe one day. This is Even Peel. He is a badass Jedi who's like tiny, short king. He has a scar over one eye, which is like, you know, a certified way to make someone more, which is, you know, an easy shortcut to make someone look more badass. He's got like a really stoic attitude, a real like, you know, gruff appearance, and like a really gravelly like Russian accent. He's hardcore. He's got like a top knot. He's great. Yeah, he prominently features in 3 episodes of the Clone Wars, whereas in the movies he doesn't even speak, but he does appear briefly on screen. Certified glove shitter. Next we have Jun Sato, who is the commander of Phoenix Cell, which is one of many pockets of rebellion. You know, he is one of many factions that will eventually combine to become the rebellion. He's just a really good leader, and in the end he does end up making the ultimate sacrifice. I do try not to spoil too much. I don't want to spoil when like every character dies, because there are some characters who don't survive to the end of their first appearance, and I just haven't mentioned them, and I've just like glossed over that fact. But yeah, Sato's just like a really cool leader, and he goes out in a blaze of glory. Yeah, he's awesome. Certified glove shitter. This is Nuna Bakarana or something like that. He's got a crazy long name and I don't understand it. I think it's a he. I forget this character's gender. Is it a she? Hold on, I'm looking... I need to find this character's Wikipedia page, hold on. No, hold on, I'm hitting the wrong keys. Okay, Wikipedia, female, and her name is Nuran Bakarakana. You know, Nuran Bakarakana. Or just, I think, Nuran for short? Yeah, Nuran for short. She's just a species that we've never seen anywhere else in Star Wars, and she's fuzzy and cool, and that's about the extent of my rationale for putting her on the list. Certified glove shitter. She appears in the High Republic comics. And yeah, certified glove shitter. This is one of my favorite characters. This is Night Sister Merrin. She appears in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. She is the last of the Night Sisters, which are a group of Force users who are like witches who use the Force to perform sorcery and all sorts of cool shit. but they all like died out during the Clone Wars era, save for her, basically. She's like the last Night Sister. And by the end of the game, spoilers, she ends up joining Cal Kestis's crew, who is the main character of the game, the Jedi, who's the main character of the game. At first, she is incredibly suspicious of Cal when he first shows up on her home planet of Dathomir. She thinks maybe he's shown up to kill her or something, and they're very antagonistic for most of the game. But then eventually they form the necessary alliance, and as Cal is leaving Dathomir, then she's like, I'll come along, there's nothing left for me on Dathomir. I'm gonna travel with you and discover who I am. And I don't know, there's just something really charming about her, like about her, like, you know, her lack of knowledge about the galaxy. She gets on this ship. What's it called? The Mantis or something? I don't remember. She gets on Cal's ship, and like, the couch that she's sitting on in this shot, she sort of tentatively sits on this as if she's never, you know, felt something of this texture before. She's never, you know, sat on something this soft in her life, and it's very strange to her. And then like BD1, this little droid, you can see on the right, who's Cal's droid, starts like beeping at her like in a very friendly manner, and she just looks at this droid and she says, I don't understand what you're saying. She's great, she's very straightforward. I love Merrin, and I hope in the next Star Wars Jedi game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I think the next one's called, I hope that we have like segments where we get to play as Merrin, because getting to play as a Night Sister would be awesome as like a fan of Clone Wars. It would just be so cool. Anyway, she's awesome, certified Glub Shitter. I also I posted her on my birthday. This is October 5th that Merrin gets posted, and I'm like, hey, by the way, it's my birthday, so if you could post this on the main account at some point, that'd be great. At this point, only I think one of my Glub Shitter submissions had ever been posted, and that was Rookcast, who was like my 4th or 5th submission. Merrin still hasn't been posted yet, but I have been assured that it will happen before Twitter implodes, so that's good. This is what's his name again? Weasel. Weazel. Weasel is played by what's his name? Warwick Davis, who played the most prominent Ewok in Return of the Jedi. He was the physical portrayal of Wicket, is the name of that Ewok. And even since then has played a bunch of different Star Wars characters, but always in costume, you know, always as some like weird alien or something. Whenever they need like a really short, like little alien, you know, they have a bunch of actors who are cool, but the most well-known of those is Warwick Davis, who's, you know, I mean, he's an actor in his own right? And then finally, Star Wars, Solo: A Star Wars Story comes along, and they give him a role where he can actually like show his face, and just, you know, be himself, and that's a win for Warwick Davis. I know it sounds more like Warwick Davis is the Glub Shitter here and not his character, but no, his character's the Glub Shitter, and he's awesome in part because he's being played by Warwick Davis. Actually, mostly because of that. But he's like Enfys Nest's right-hand man. We'll see Enfys Nest later. Or maybe not. Maybe I should start wrapping up this stream because, oh my god, it's taking so long. We gotta rapid fire through these, okay? Weasel, certified Glub Shitter. Frog Lady, if you've seen The Mandalorian Season 2, then you remember her. She is trying to take these fertilized eggs, which are those little balls in the tank that she's carrying on her back. She's trying to carry those. No, they're not fertilized. That's right. She's trying to bring her eggs to her husband. She and her husband are two of the last of their kind, two of the last of their species. And the Mandalorian has to basically ferry her from one place to the other. But he can't jump to light speed because otherwise the eggs will be ruined. The eggs will not survive in that case. So she's just awesome because she's on a fucking mission, and she is mum of the century for everything she went through to continue the continue the survival of her race. Certified Glupshitter. This is a character in the comics, and they really just like went for it. Her name is, God, what's her name? It's like Pam or something. It's, hold on. What's her name? I don't like have it in front of me. God, I don't remember her name. That's unfortunate. But she's awesome. I mean, she's just like, how often do you see this body type in Star Wars, you know, from just a normal human character? She's fit as fuck, and, you know, pretty easy on the eyes too. And just for the sake of fan service, you know, just to put some you know, I was nice enough to include this image of her wearing Han Solo's clothes with the sleeves removed. You're welcome. Yeah, that's something she wears at one point. She appears in a one-off comic, one of the annual issues of the Star Wars 2015 comic run that has like 80 issues. So she's in one issue of one comic. And I think therefore is definitely she easily clears the bar of being a club shitter. Also, she helps the rebels, you know, Luke, Leia, Han, despite being initially hesitant. The whole issue was about her, like, you know, learning to believe in something, and she's awesome. This is B2EMO. Maybe he doesn't count as a glop shitter, but he is from Andor. If you've seen Andor, you've seen B2EMO. He's a very cool looking droid, a very old droid. 1 second. Oh, never mind. Yeah, this droid appears in... Yeah, so this droid needs to constantly sit in like its recharging station because he's so old that he can't hold a charge anymore, which is incredibly sad. This is the droid of Marva Andor, who is Cassian Andor, the main character of the show Andor. So Marva is Cassian's mum, and B2EMO is Marva's droid. Certified glop shitter. This thing can also speak, if you can believe it. A lot of the like smaller, stocky like Star Wars droids just don't speak and just make beep and boop noises because everyone loves R2-D2. But this thing speaks with like a limited vocabulary, and I love it. I love B2EMO. This is Dr. Sionver Bol. She appears in one episode, maybe two, of the Clone Wars, but basically she's a scientist who Palpatine collaborates with while researching the Zillo Beast, which is this ancient like dragon-like thing with really tough scales, and Palpatine's like, wow, these scales are really tough, let's make them into clone armor. Dr. Sionver Bol, would you please kill the Zillo Beast? And Dr. Bol raises all sorts of ethical concerns about it, so hats off to an ethical scientist who is kind of the real hero of the story. Yeah, certified glove shitter. This guy is, so, okay, I really should have, like, zoomed in on, like, where this character is, but I'm talking about, this character here. Can you see my cursor? I hope you can see my cursor. We are talking about, sorry, just give me a second. We are talking about Elan Sleazebaggano is the actual name of this character. The character to the left of Obi-Wan, the guy in the robes. We're talking about the guy with like the antennas on his head, who looks like he's offering Obi-Wan a smoke. He's offering him what is called a death stick in Star Wars, apparently, which is, I don't know, some kind of drug. And there's this brief but brilliant scene where he goes up to Obi-Wan and goes, "Hey, wanna buy some death sticks?" And Obi-Wan, who has no time for this shit, uses his Jedi Force powers to manipulate the mind of this guy. And he says, like, "You don't want to sell me death sticks." And the guy goes, "I don't want to sell you death sticks." And then Obi-Wan says, "You want to go home and rethink your life." And then and then the guy says, "I want to go home and rethink my life." And it's amazing. And then I didn't put the image in here, but there is also like a one of the comics, which I haven't read the full comic, but I know that there is a comic page out there where this guy appears in the background with what we can presume is his child, because he went home and he rethought his life and he became a better person and he settled down with a nice woman, and now he's a family man. Yeah, props to Elan Sleazebaggano for breaking the cycle. Also, just an amazing Star Wars name. Can we appreciate that his last name is literally Sleazebaggano? I love this guy. And this is the best scene in Attack of the Clones, by the way. Like, no contest. This is a Toydarian named King Katunko. He is the king of the Toydarians, the king of Toydaria. And the only Toydarian we meet prior to King Katunko is, what's his name? Watto. And Watto sucks. Watto is a shitty salvage yard owner who's like really shifty and shady and dirty, and not a person. He owns slaves. You don't want to hang around this guy. Versus like King Katunko, who's actually like noble and and he doesn't fuck around. He ends up allying himself with the Republic, but only once the Republic like proves itself worthy of the Toydarians, like in endorsement. There we go. So he's also a certified glove shitter. You know what? I'm going to take a break real quick. I'm really thirsty and I'm running out of water. How many glop shittos do I have to go? I'm going to check off screen just to see. I think we're over the hill. I think we're onto like the latter half of this. But just in case, I'm just going to double check that that's the case, and just take a really quick break, and then I'll be right back. I'm back, and I'm gonna be honest, we need to speed through the rest of these because we are just barely past like halfway. 94 Glob Shadows, okay. So I'm going to need to be a lot more succinct with these. I said that before and then I wasn't. So let's just speed through these. This is Jarek Yeager. He is a character in Star Wars Resistance. He's like the father figure to the rest of the cast, and he's awesome. He's a former racer, and yeah, he's very cool. He's grumpy all the time. It's great. This is Mok Shiez's Major Domo. This is a character from the Book of Boba Fett. He is a very sort of cowardly character. He's very much a comic relief. There's a great scene where he reads a list of Boba Fett's demands for surrender, the conditions of surrender, sorry. And basically Boba Fett's conditions are nothing, I will never surrender, and goes on to like threaten them with violence and stuff, and his timidness during the scene is amazing. I love all of his facial expressions. I love the way this character is portrayed. He's amazing. I need to see him again. This is Sevox, an obscure character in the comics. He is cool because he has no eyes. He has like some disease that makes it that he can't have like cybernetic implants, at least not direct ones. And so instead of having like something attached to his eyes to help him see, his eye sockets are connected to this droid on the right. This guy, the big guy, who sort of sees for him, and he's just an old like mad scientist who like fiddles around in his garage. A very Doc Brown type of character, which I love to see on Star Wars. This is Sid. This is a major character from Star Wars The Bad Batch. Maybe I shouldn't count her as a glob shitter, but I did. Sue me. She hires a lot of bounty hunters. She's like a crime boss, and basically she hires the titular Bad Batch, the group of clones that the show is about, on a bunch of missions. She's very like slimy, but a good person in the end, right? Like underneath everything, she has a heart of gold, and that is my shit when it comes to characters. So, great character. This is Halle Bertoni. She is horrible. She is a senator representing Kamino, because apparently Kamino gets a seat just dedicated to... Kamino are the people who created the clones, and so they directly benefit from more war happening, and so she's constantly advocating for more war, more fighting, more clones, more money for more clones, you know? And she is just like unapologetically evil. She will openly state her like disdain for her political opponents and all sorts of things. And she's just got a really fun design. Like an elderly Kaminoan is something I never thought about, but this is a really, like it's something unique we've never seen before, and this is like a really fun design. This is Rio Durant. He is on the crew that Han Solo joins at the beginning of Solo: A Star Wars Story. He is part of a job. Long story short, the job goes bad, and Rio Durant doesn't make it out the other side, which is a shame because his good-natured humor was, and you know, his sense of sarcasm and his, you know, just his general charm was a very important part of the team. This is R2KT, and I have to spend a little bit of time on this one because this droid has a backstory. So this is so the leader of the charity group known as the 501st, which are a group of Star Wars cosplayers who dress up in stormtrooper armor for charity. The leader of that group, his daughter Katie, came down with cancer that was and was given a terminal diagnosis at the age of, I think Katie was like 6 or 7. maybe even younger than that. I think she was like 5. I don't know. But, Katie loved Star Wars. She loved R2-D2, and she wished she had her own R2-D2 to watch over her, like R2 watches over Padme in Attack of the Clones, in that one scene where, like, you know, she's sleeping and then she gets attacked by bugs, you know. And she liked the color pink, and she wanted a pink R2 unit, and so her dad, you know, pulled in all the favors he could to get all the, like, droid makers and everything to make this pink R2 unit. It wasn't fully completed before Katie sadly passed away, but there were like early versions of the unit that Katie was able to meet. And, you know, she didn't care that it wasn't like the final product. You know, she got her wish for a pink R2 unit, and since this unit has appeared in this in the Clone Wars movie included, as well as in the background of Episode 7, The Force Awakens, R2-KT is in a major, you know, feature film, a blockbuster film, which is amazing. And of course, R2-KT gets brought to a lot of charity events, and is just a staple in the Star Wars charity scene. So I had to include R2-KT. Maybe it's a bit demeaning to call this droid a Glop Shido, but it's an obscure character with such a rich history, and if that doesn't scream Glop Shido, I don't know what does. This is Kalani. This is a droid strategist. This is a separatist strategist who, after the war, wasn't believed the shutdown command issued to all battle droids was a trick. Much like how in World War II there were still, like, pockets of troops who didn't surrender because they didn't believe that, like, Japan or Germany could lose the war. So this was, of course, eventually I think he figured it out. Yeah, he's just a really cunning strategist, a ruthless strategist, and just a really cool looking droid with a really cool voice. At least in the Clone Wars. They nerfed it a bit in Rebels, but yeah, he appears in like 3 episodes across, I don't know, like 5 episodes across the whole thing, so definitely a Glop Shido. This is Lorna D. She's hot, that's all I have to say. No, she's part of the Nihil, which I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. The Nile? I'm going to say the Nile. They are a group of, like, marauders and they're like a gang, kind of. I don't know. They're a group of marauders who, like, are led by these people called the Tempest something. The Tempest Chasers? No, that's the name of one of the books. The Tempest... I don't remember. I don't know that much about the High Republic. I haven't actually read the books, because reading is for losers, unless it's got pictures, in which case reading is cool. But yeah, she's one of the leaders of the Nile, and I didn't include a picture of what her face looks like, because if you want to know that, you can read the comics. It's a fun reveal. This is Griff Halloran. He is a former TIE fighter pilot who is one of the ace pilots. What are they called? He's part of the Ace Squadron in Star Wars Resistance. He's one of the best pilots on the aboard the Colossus, yeah, he's pretty cool. I mean, at first I was like, wait, isn't this guy like a neo-Nazi or something with, like, you know, Empire tattoos and stuff in an age where, like, the First Order is a real threat? But no, you know, tattoos are permanent. He just hasn't removed them. You know, he can't remove them, he doesn't know what to put over them. It's a relatable struggle. Not relatable, I've never gotten a tattoo in my life, but... you know, it makes sense. He hates the Empire now. He defected the Empire along with the ship's, the Colossus's captain, actually. And there's a rich backstory there. But other than that, he's just like a cool pilot who's also grumpy, and we love grumpy pilots. This is Luminara Unduli. She is a Jedi. She is very by the books. And that's what I like about her, is that she sticks by her principles, you know? She's very, like, soft-spoken and has, like, a really you know, cool sounding voice. I like her a lot. Hats off to Luminara Unduli, one of the coolest Jedi. This is Dr. Quadpaw, who appears briefly in an episode of Andor, the new show that's like really good. You should watch Andor. And this is just a 4-armed alien dude who performs surgery. I don't know if he's licensed. He's probably not. He operates out of a tent on like a random barren planet. So he's probably just the doctor that doesn't ask questions when you show up with a grievous injury. But you know, he does his best. I'm sure he's amazing at what he does. And he's just a cool guy. I mean, look at him. Next up, we've got Vetch. This was I submitted him and Dr. Quadpaw at a time where the owner of the Glub Shadow account was asking for submissions from Andor, and so I submitted these two. Vetch is a character who appears in one scene in Andor, and is there to just sort of stand around and look intimidating, while another character tries to sort of extort money out of Andor. Not extort money, it was money that he was owed, but he was like, I want my money, Andor, and Vetch just sort of shows up and explains that he's just there to look intimidating. He's like, he told me all I had to do was stand there. He's great. He's amazing. There he is. He towers over everyone. Couldn't hurt a fly, but and yet Mechie thought that he would intimidate Andor into giving him money. This is Olivia Zeveron. She's in the High Republic. I don't know much about her. She's a Jedi, I believe, and this is during a point in the High Republic where a bunch of like different religious sects are arguing, and Olivia says, "Fuck all of y'all. You guys aren't agreeing, and it's a problem. That you're not being the least bit respectful to each other. I hate this." This is Tuton. Tuton is from Tales of the Jedi, which came out earlier this year in like October. It's in a little anthology series. He's just an old droid that is in a barn. He doesn't speak, I don't think. But look at him. He's a friend. This is Embo. Embo is a bounty hunter that shows up a number of times in the Clone Wars. He's a reoccurring, just cool guy who does various jobs for various clients. His hat that you can see there is like Captain America's shield, in that he can take off his hat and hold it in front of him to like, you know, block laser blasts and stuff. And he can like throw it like Captain America does with his shield, and it like boomerangs back to him. He's awesome. There is one scene, in fact, in this scene that stretches between that takes place just prior to this screenshot. He has a wolf as well, so he can like throw his. There are like points where like he throws his hat, his like Captain America shield hat, and then his wolf dog, alien dog thing catches it. He can play fetch with his dog. He also has there's also a scene where like he snowboards with it down a mountain in this scene, and it's amazing. You should watch that scene. This is Zero. This is a very evil droid who is part of a team that is put together, that the Mandalorian is part of. They're trying to break someone out of prison, and then Zero is left to like pilot the ship, and he finds out that Grogu is on board the child, and he tries to murder it before seconds after this screenshot was taken. This is a picture taken moments before disaster, because the Mandalorian kills this droid. And yeah, very evil droid, but very fun character. This is Sana Starros, a very prominent character in the comics, but again, even the most prominent character in the comics are pretty obscure in the grander scheme of Star Wars. She is, when she first shows up, she introduces herself as Han Solo's wife. Turns out to be a bit of an exaggeration. It was like a staged wedding that was part of a heist or something. But yeah, she's basically Han Solo too. I don't know. She sort of fills that role of being a rogue who sort of comes around, but she's still very exasperated when, Han or anyone else does like good guy shit. She's just like, oh, you guys. She does a lot of favors for the rebellion, but I don't think ever officially joins. And then she's also an ex of Dr. Aphra, who's another very prominent comic character. She has her own comic, in which I hear Son of Stars shows up in a lot of in the post Empire Strikes Back era, but I haven't really gotten around to reading those yet. So, but she's cool. Son is awesome. This is Mother Talzin. She is the leader of the Night Sisters. She is the mother of the Night Sisters. I'm not sure if that's like direct familial. I suspect it's not. But she's a really powerful witch whose power could potentially rival Palpatine's. And so there's a whole arc of the Clone Wars that got scrapped but got turned into a comic that is about sort of her gathering her forces to oppose Palpatine and his forces. And yeah, she's awesome. She has magical powers, and she's a good mother to the Night Sisters, and it's just interesting to have such a powerful character in Star Wars that we never see in the movies. This is Bazine Netal. She is just... look at her. You know why I included her on this list. No, she's also a First Order informant, and, there are plenty of background characters in the original trilogy that end up being glub shitters, just because they haven't got as much opportunity to expand on her backstory. I didn't want the sequel trilogy to not have any glub shitters, so I figured she was a good candidate. She's had a few stories written about her already, most of which are in children's books and stuff. But yeah, she's an interesting backstory who has a very sinister sounding backstory. I think she's just straight up like a sociopath, seriously. This is Click Clack. He is the last of the Geonosians, or is thought to maybe be one of the last of his people, because the Empire enslaved all the Geonosians to build the Death Star and then just killed them all. Just got a big, can of bug spray and just all over the planet. He's one of the last surviving Geonosians. He shows up in Rebels, in which he is trying to protect an egg that will obviously hatch into another Geonosian. He is, much like Frog Lady, just trying to repopulate his race. This is Enfys Nest. She is a member of the Rebels that we only see in Solo, a Star Wars story, but she's such a prominent... she's such an interesting figure in the Rebellion that I'm surprised she hasn't come back in any major capacity in any Star Wars media, and I want to see her again. And also she's played by the same lady who plays the villain from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, I don't know her name, but she's cool. This is Commander Wolf. He is a very popular clone who's kind of a background character. He is the commander of Plo Koon, a very popular Jedi who is the showrunner, Dave Filoni's favorite character in all of Star Wars, I think. So Dave had to give him the most badass commander imaginable. This is him in the Clone Wars. Note the scar over his eye, that automatically makes you look more badass. And then this is what he looks like in Star Wars Rebels after he's grown old. And honestly, I would call it a glow up. I would call it an improvement. He looks awesome in Rebels. And yeah, he's kind of, suffering from trauma by the point of Rebels. He's just kind of an angsty guy. But he's really cool, and I like him. This is Aunt Z. She runs a very popular bar aboard the Colossus in Star Wars Resistance. She also hates the Empire. And, that's about the extent. She's very, sarcastic. She's very much... she's very comfortable around, the rowdy and shifty characters that often populate the Colossus, she's a bit rough around the edges like all of them, and yeah, she's also the same species as the one dude who enslaves Rey at the beginning of Star Wars Episode 7. or I thought so, but it turns out that she's actually a different species because the male and female variations of that species are entirely different species apparently. Some freaking Nidorina bullshit. But yeah, anyway. This is Lola 59, I think, are the numbers that follow that. Yeah, anyway, this is Lola. This is a droid that Princess Leia had when she was like 10. It's just a cute little droid that Leia has. I don't know what it does, I don't know what its purpose is, but it's Leia's friend, and it's my friend too, therefore. This was in Obi-Wan Kenobi, by the way. This is Magna Tolvin. This is a love interest of Dr. Aphra, one of many. Dr. Aphra, by the way, is a woman, so she is a lesbian, and this is one of her love interests. She is she's an Imperial commander or something. Or an admiral or something. She's part of the Imperial chain of command, and so it's complicated when she suddenly has unexplainable feelings for this for this rogue archaeologist who causes all sorts of trouble for the Empire. Yeah, she has like a major crush on her, and they do kiss at one point later on. Possibly the first same-sex kiss in all of Star Wars, I think. Because this predates Rise of Skywalker, this predates, you know, just about everything. Magna Tolvin is awesome though. She's very stoic by the book's characters. She just wants to follow authority, and that becomes interesting once she starts, you know, once her values start aligning more with the rebellion. Yeah, she's no nonsense, and yet her weakness is certainly the good doctor over here. Calling her the good doctor is a bit of a stretch. She's a very, very morally great character. In fact, she's a pretty bad person who deep down inside is very ashamed that she's a bad person and, you know, does some good things because of that. Anyway, this is Moralo Ival. He's just an evil dude who Obi-Wan, who's undercover, meets in a Republic prison. Who is this guy's masterminding some plot to kidnap Chancellor Palpatine. Spoilers, it doesn't work. Palpatine does end up being kidnapped a couple of years later, but not by this guy. He's just like an evil dude, thinks himself a mastermind, has like a big ego. He constantly refers to himself in the third person. How dare you defy Moralo Ival? He's a fun character. He's got a really like creepy voice too. This is the Master Codebreaker from Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi, one of my favorite Star Wars movies, don't tell anyone. This guy is the guy that Finn and Rose think they are looking for, or who they actually are looking for rather, in that movie when they're looking for like a Master Codebreaker. They see this dude, he has the lapel that they are looking for, but unfortunately at that moment they get arrested for illegal parking. Anyway, this dude looks like Ludwig in this photo. Ludwig Ogren, the streamer. Yeah, I can imagine him doing this exact pose. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've seen him doing this exact pose. Who did it first? Anyway. Kit Fisto. This is maybe stretching the definition of a glupshitter, as a lot of Star Wars fans know who this guy is. But you know what? He's too damn cool for me to leave out of the glupshitter list, because I mean, in the original movies, he has no lines. He just has one scene where like he pushes over a battle droid with the Force or something, and then he smiles. You know, he gives this big old grin. And then in the Clone Wars, he's a badass. He has like a Jamaican accent. There is one arc in which he is shirtless. You are very welcome. That I use this image. He's just a really chill, cool guy. He's a bro. He just seems like a fun person to be around. I want to be friends with Kit Fisto in real life. This is Admiral Trench, the one on the right, not the one on the left. The one on the left is just a droid that he has advising him. But the real strategist is on the right. Admiral Trench is a famed strategist thought dead at the Battle of Malastare Narrows. I can't believe I remember that. He but he survived, and Anakin has like a battle of the minds in one episode with this guy, and then Anakin like kills him for real, or did he? He comes back as like a cyborg. He has like, you know, metal parts to him, and doesn't play as major a role as he did in that one episode, but he's still pretty cool. I mean, he's a freaking spider alien. That's a pretty fun idea for a villain. This is Tam Posler. This is a random background character who showed up in Solo: A Star Wars Story, who then got an entire arc in the Dr. Aphra comics. He is portrayed in those comics as like someone who follows the law to the letter, and is just a real pain in the ass because of it. You know, Aphra's trying to hire a group of bounty hunters to do a job, and then this guy is like, but we must do so within the boundaries of the law. And he's kind of a piece of shit. But, you know, I can kind of relate to being uptight about the rules, you know? I was that kid. I kind of am that guy. So, relatable. This is Dio. He is a droid who has presumably been abused in the past, because he sort of acts like an abused dog or something. When someone goes to touch him, he like wheels backwards with like a no thank you. He also stutters all the time, which is really cute. Again, like B2MO, limited vocabulary. Very cute droid, very cool idea for a droid. Sucks that he got like no screen time in The Rise of Skywalker, but who did get any screen time in The Rise of Skywalker? Am I right? I'm talking about the character on the left, not the character on the right. The character on the right is the Senator Onaconda Farr. He's a Rodian. They're both Rodians. But the one on the left is his advisor, Silud. He's such an obscure character who appears in like one episode of season 1 of the Clone Wars, and then like later makes a very brief appearance in like season 3. That I used him against Akinator one time when I was younger and won. And I was very proud of that. However, because like he isn't even named in the episode, I don't think. I had like an episode guide, like a real physical book, that was a guide to the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars, and that's the only reason I knew this guy's name. It's weird to me because there was an opportunity for him to have a bigger role in season 3 of the Clone Wars, because spoilers, the guy on the right, Onaconda Farr, dies, and then we find out through like a whodunit murder mystery situation that one of Farr's supporters, who was Rodian, ended up killing him. And I'm like very confused as to why that role wasn't taken by Silud, which is a character we've seen in the past who was an actual advisor to Onaconda Farr. Silud just shows up briefly at Onaconda's funeral, and that's it. So I'm confused why he didn't fill that role when they, you know, because they had a pre-established character. I don't know why they made up an entirely new character to fit that role, because it paints an immediate target on that character, being like, hang on, I've never seen that character before, I wonder if they're the murderer. But on the other hand, it also means that Silud is innocent and would never betray his good friend, Onaconda Farr, which is good. Silud is a good boy. This is, what's her freaking name? Synara-san. She's one of the coolest characters in Star Wars Resistance. Not as cool as Jarek Yeager. She used to be a pirate and still kind of is working for the pirates, but secretly her allegiance is with the main characters of the show. And so she's sort of trying to live this double life, and that's kind of fun. But she's also just a badass. She's good at combat, she's good at shooting things. And she's like one of the most competent characters in the show, so, you know. That's her sort of trying to bamboozle the pirates. This is Biggs Darklighter. He is a character who shows up in the special edition of Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. George Lucas inserted this previously deleted scene back into the movie because he wanted you to really feel for Biggs when he dies during the trench run, during the attack on the Death Star. The Battle of Yavin, I guess I should say, is the name of it. So what he ends up doing... hi Val Lemon, sorry, you obviously chatted ages ago, but I just caught it. Okay, so Big Starklighter was supposed to have a much bigger role in the movie, in the original cut, but all of his scenes basically got cut until like the very end of the movie. He was supposed to have this whole like backstory with Luke Skywalker, where he like grew up with him and he's Luke's best friend, and then later he meets him, and then later they meet once they've both joined the rebellion. You know, have a quick reunion, but you know, aren't given any time to catch up before the Battle of Yavin happens, and Biggs tragically doesn't make it out. But all of that was cut from the movie, so Biggs just sort of ended up being an inconsequential death. Just a random guy who dies in the Battle of Yavin. But I just think it's cool how he has this history of almost being like a major character in the world of Star Wars. But alas, the movie was edited differently for the better, you know, I will admit. It is definitely better for the pacing of the movie that his role basically be cut. But it's kind of cool how this glop shitter almost became like a famous movie star, a famous movie character, you know? This is Orla Jarani. She's another High Republic Jedi. She calls herself a Wayseeker, which is like a Jedi who doesn't align themselves with the Jedi Council. So she's kind of morally grey. She's got these cool white lightsabers. She's Umbaran, which is a race that we learn about a bit in the Clone Wars. And yeah, she's just cool. This is Admiral Coburn, I believe his name is. He is... that's him next to Commander Wolf. Commander Wolf is the character on the far right. Right? Or is he the character in the middle? The clone in the middle? I don't know. But the point is that, yeah, he is Plo Koon's admiral. So he's like his strategist. I don't know why Plo Koon gets all of the cool, like, sidekicks. Actually, I know exactly why Plo Koon gets all the cool sidekicks, because he was the show's creator's favorite. But, yeah, this guy just looks cool. Very stoic. You know, he's a badass. He gives the vibes of like a hardened veteran, and he's very cool. This is Dr. Gorst from Andor, the new series. He is a very polite scientist with a very sadistic side. This guy is being very nice to the prisoner he is about to torture, because he doesn't do torture by conventional methods. Instead, he gives his prisoner these like headphones that and plays the sound, a sound they captured of this entire race of people being wiped out, and the horrific screams that they make have known to render torturees catatonic, you know? And so he inflicts some major psychic damage with his sick science, but at least he was nice about it. This is, what's his name? Oppo Rancisis. He's a snake man on the Jedi Council. I think that's really all that matters. He's just a cool snake puppet that they made to be a Jedi, who just sits there. The only speaking role he's ever gotten in the movies, or in anything, is in the 2003 Star Wars Clone Wars 2D animated show by Genndy Tartakovsky. And he has a fun voice, and he has a really fun design as well in that show. Mathia Cathly is another Jedi in the High Republic. She's kind of a chatterbox. She's kind of awkward and yeah, sort of stumbles her way through conversations. She's really charming and fun, and I just like her personality. Yeah. This is AP5. He is a droid. He is an Imperial inventory droid who, Chopper, who I mentioned earlier, the rebel droid who's just a thorough dick, he ends up sort of recruiting AP5 to the rebellion by being nice to him. Chopper makes a friend, and it's a really wholesome episode of Star Wars Rebels. I recommend you watch it. It's called what's it called again? The Forgotten Droid? Yeah, The Forgotten Droid. Watch that episode if you want to know AZ5's backstory. But AZ5 is very like sarcastic. He talks in a very monotone voice, like he's Severus Snape or something. He's a very fun character. He has a musical number. He has a musical number in Star Wars Rebels. This droid sings in one episode, which is a clip I recommend you seek out because it's so out of place for Star Wars. And this is our last character, thankfully, for today. Oh my god, my voice has gotten so sore doing this stream. I regret doing this so much. But I'm sure when I watch this back, I'll be like, oh, that was so worth it. I talked about so many Star Wars characters. That was fun. Anyway, this is Dryden Voss, the villain of Solo, a Star Wars story. He is played by Paul Bettany, who gives a fantastic performance in this movie. This is one of my favorite villain performances in Star Wars. Maybe one of my favorite villain performances ever. He's just such a liar. He's just such a disturbed individual. He's got physical scars, but he's also, you know, pretty fucked up emotionally as well. He's got like he's a leader of Crimson Dawn, which is like a evil criminal syndicate. And he is ruthless, man. He's got these cool, oh, I didn't include an image of him. Well, that's a shame. He's also got these cool, like double, these cool like knives that are like a double-sided, that is foreshadowing to a later twist in the movie. But yeah, I just love his performance. I love the way that he interacts with the character of Kira, who is like Han Solo's girlfriend at the time. Or, you know, love interest. And, you know, the way he interacts with Han and Beckett, and he's just so evil, and he's such a fun villain to watch. Again, Paul Bettany. Oh my god, he's so good. So yeah, that is every Star Wars character I have submitted to this Twitter account thus far. I'm going to be submitting another one tonight. Which one am I going to submit again? This is an exclusive scoop. Chrismos Sodi from the Clone Wars. Look up who that is. I can't be bothered explaining who that is because I've just explained 94 other Star Wars characters. This stream was a mistake, but I hope you enjoyed me rambling about Star Wars for like 2-3 hours. 2 hours, let's be real. Yeah, that was the stream. I don't think, and you know, I've had plenty of passionate conversations about Star Wars, but I don't think I've ever had quite such a passionate ramble about Star Wars in my life. That was just 2 hours of like unadulterated just talking about characters I like. Maybe I'll do a sequel stream with the remaining characters once I've submitted them, or once Twitter dies, whichever comes first. Or maybe, because thankfully there are, you know, we only have like 30 or so characters left to go because there are only 30 or so days left in the year. A little more than that. Like 36, something like that. 37. 37. So I'm sure I can do the remaining 37 in a separate stream without it being too much. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into this stream. Sorry if you joined partway and you were like, what the heck is he doing? What is this? What was the point of this stream? Go back on the VOD if you want to hear me explain it. Okay, I wasn't going to stop the stream midway through to explain what I was doing again because it's a long story. But yeah, that's what I've been up to on Twitter. This has been my life and will be my life for the rest of the year. Not my life, but you know, it takes a little bit of time out of each day. But it's been a fun spur-of-the-moment project. Just a random DM turned into a whole saga. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about it, enjoyed me rambling about Star Wars. Maybe I'll do it again some other time. My next stream will probably be of that arcade-themed visual novel I teased before. I haven't bought it yet, but I do plan to. So that ought to be fun. Hold on. Why have I suddenly got double BGM happening? Don't tell me that was happening the whole stream. Oh my god, if that was happening the whole stream. If that was like distracting, I am so sorry. I can never do a stream without it being scuffed. My previous Minecraft stream was like in, you know, 7p. It was like terrible quality because I had it wasn't in full screen, the Minecraft window. So I apologize for that, and I apologize for any scuff on this stream and the other streams. I mean, honestly, I thought that I would have to, you know, I thought that there was no way that I was having trouble getting the audio working earlier in the stream. I had to like turn it down and up manually when I was going between screens. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I'll probably be streaming again on Saturday for that visual novel, assuming I do end up getting it. But I don't know, I'll stream sometime this weekend either way. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time if you want to stick around. Bye.